Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Dropping Dimes podcast by J.I. Dimes. And for today's episode, we will have the team preview for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yes, sir. So, just like what I mentioned, we will now be moving on. This is now our third episode for the team preview series of the Dropping Dimes podcast. For today, we'll be talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay, so again, for everyone who wants to follow the podcast, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The podcast is also available on Spotify, Anchor, and YouTube. So let's proceed. Okay, so what are the main storylines for the Minnesota Timberwolves? They drafted Anthony Edwards, number one. They acquired D'Angelo Russell during the trade deadline. And then Karl-Anthony Towns, an injury-prone season last year, devastating loss as well during the offseason when he lost his mom to COVID. How would Karl-Anthony Towns bounce back? Does he still want to stay in Minnesota? And another key storyline, Ricky Rubio is back. Yes, Ricky Rubio is back with the Timberwolves. So let's proceed. Okay, so these are the details for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So last season, they only had a 19-45 record. They were the 14th team out of the 15 teams in the Western Conference. So not so good. They ended the season with a loss. Ryan Saunders is still their coach. Gerson Rosas is still their GM. When it comes to their defense, not so good. They were like only 28th. Even though offensively they were okay, their pace, they were fourth in the league. Very good for a young team. Offensive rating, they were only 24th, and their defensive rating only 21st. Okay, so that's the story for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Another concerning factor for them, they were only 29th in attendance. So not a lot of people watching Timberwolves basketball. Well, understandably, because they're not winning. Okay, last year they also traded Andrew Wiggins to get D'Angelo Russell, who is a very good friend of Karl-Anthony Towns. So let's see if that's gonna help in convincing Cat to stay, okay, rather than demand trade, even though there have been rumors that he wants out. Okay, so this is the schedule for the Timberwolves. They will be playing against the Memphis Grizzlies at home. Of course, their home is the Target Center. And then their last preseason game will be against the Dallas Mavericks at the American Airlines Center. Okay, so let's proceed now to the next one. Let's now go to their rosters. So they have Malik Beasley. Yes, he's back because they decided to, sign him. I think he was like a restricted free agent, and then he signed. Okay, so let's just focus on their key additions. Okay, so let's now again they got Ricky Rubio back. Okay, so some guys that they added. Let's see. Uh, Look closely. Not really a lot of Clayman, mostly role players. Of course, they have Karl-Anthony Towns. They added D'Angelo Russell. Let's proceed. Okay, so who else did they add? Oh, this is good. Let's go to the next one. Here, this one. So we have Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Ricky Rubio, Joshua Kogi is there. And then they drafted, of course, Jaden McDaniels. A lot of people, including me, think Jaden McDaniels can be like one of those steals of the 2020 draft. Okay. And then basically they pulled off that deal to get Ricky Rubio and added Jaden McDaniels. So not much on the Minnesota end. Of course, let's not forget that when they play the Grizzlies and the Dallas Mavericks, they will be also having Anthony Edwards, the first pick in the draft. Almost forgot about him. And then they also signed Juancho Hernan Gomez. So Anthony Edwards, he will be battling minutes with Malik Beasley, who just signed a big contract. So that will be an interesting dynamic there. Anthony Edwards is flat out an athletic player, no doubt about that. Of course, the biggest concern is the fact that he only shot 29% from three-point distance in college. Yes, sir. Not even in the pros, in college. So I don't really know why he's, as early as now, talking trash to, or I don't want to put it that way, but, kind of trash talking Damian Lillard. And he hasn't really proven anything yet. So that's not a good first step for Anthony Edwards. And of course, they also question, this is another big thing for Anthony Edwards. Is he really into basketball, man? Like, it seems like this guy doesn't like to play, man. He's more inclined to playing football. I don't know, man. When you get drafted number one, you're going to get paid all these millions of dollars. Come on, man. Work on your game. I think that would be the best thing that he could do, Stop trash talking Dame or saying that he's more into football. Otherwise that would be bad news for the Timberwolves. Okay, so let's proceed. Of course, they will be coached by Ryan Saunders, the son of the late Flip Saunders. And of course, Ryan would try to bounce. He's always been known to be good with the players. He's a player's coach. But of course, they do have to win, right? It can't be like you're a player's coach, but you're not winning. Of course, and the NBA, you're measured with your success is no longer just measured with if you're winning. It's the franchise really moving towards the right direction. That's the difficult thing. So maybe I don't know how safe Ryan Saunders is right now. But we'll see. Okay, now let's proceed to their stats. Again, basing it on basketballreference.com for all the updated stats. This is where we should go. So let's go now to their league ranks when it comes to their offense and their defense. So offensively, they were quite good. They shot the ball not particularly well from three. They were only 28. Field goal percentage was also 28. But then in points, they did score. Right? They were like 12th in the league in points. Now, the problem for this Timberwolves team is not whether they're scoring the basketball, but it's why is it that teams are scoring almost like 5 points more than them? So the offense is good, but then the defense are 28th, right? And ironically, that is really that is kind of weird, because when you're young and you have all these young players, you're supposed to be at least getting the effort from these young kids, to play some defense. Now, when it comes to their so-called miscellaneous stats, so these are the advanced stats. Again, as expected, offensive rating. So if you look at their offensive rating, they're only 24th. So they did score points. They did score a lot of points, but then offensive rating was still not good. And then their defensive rating, as expected, not so good as well. And then, but one good thing that's going for them, they were fourth when it comes to their pace. Their effective field goal percentage was only 28th. That's on the offensive end, and then 21st when it comes to the defensive end. Last year, it was Karl-Anthony Towns who led them in scoring 26.5 points, but they only played in 35 games. He also averaged 10.8 rebounds. Malik Beasley averaged 20.7, 5 boards, and he got that big contract. D'Angelo Russell averaged 21.7 and 6.6 assists and 4.6 boards. And then Juancho Hernan Gomez averaged 12.9 and 7.3 for them. Of course, they are hoping that Josh Okogie can step it up a bit, especially because they need defense. Also, with Keita Bates-Diop. Now they're hoping that Anthony Edwards can be a productive player for them. So I'm seeing that Malik Beasley and Anthony Edwards would play together, I suppose, because D'Lo can at least shoot the three and Malik Beasley can shoot the three. That would then Karl-Anthony Towns can also shoot the three, so that would at least allow Edwards to be able to penetrate if he has shooters around him. Okay, so that's it for the stats of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's now proceed to the next one. Okay, so what are my thoughts and predictions for the Timberwolves? They need to win. They actually need to win. Ricky Rubio will help them with the facilitating. So D'Angelo can probably move to the 2 guard, play with Malik Beasley. If they're gonna go small, they can probably still play Anthony Edwards. The problem with Anthony Edwards is that he's really just 6'3", though he is super athletic. So you're looking at, maybe if you want to go small, you're looking at a Josh Okogie, Karl-Anthony Towns, Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell, Ricky Rubio. At least Ricky Rubio is a bigger point guard. I just didn't see any significant improvement though. Right? And I don't know how Karl-Anthony Towns will be able to stick if he keeps on losing and losing. I guess he's tired of losing. D'Angelo doesn't want to lose also. Problem with D'Angelo is that he just signed a big contract, so he will be there. So it's either he gets traded or not, right? For Karl-Anthony Towns, that's also the case. He has a contract. But then, are they happy there? And will they want to stay in Minnesota? And that was the topic, right? And during the draft, if they draft Wiseman, it means that they're going to be probably willing to trade Karl-Anthony Towns. But then they drafted Anthony Edwards, so they obviously think that this can work. Now, will it work? I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work. Simply did not really see a lot of like significant improvement by bringing in, let's say, Rubio. Yeah, he's a fan favorite. Maybe that can help bring some of the fans, but we know that that aspect of the game is kind of in question right now because of the situation. So they finished 14th in the West. There are still a lot of really good teams in the West, but they do have two young stars in Towns and D'Angelo Russell. Malik Beasley showed that he's a bucket getter. I just don't know if that will be enough though to propel them to the playoffs, especially if their defense will still be the same. They're it's not like their offense is too good to bail their defense out, right? So I don't see them making the playoffs. I do hope Karl-Anthony Towns can have a big year together with D'Angelo Russell. Their best case scenario is looking at if let's say things really work out well, Anthony Edwards balls, etc. Then they may very well end up being the eighth seed at best. But then worst case scenario is they'll still be in the 14th spot in the Western Conference. So that's it for the team preview of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, if you like the episode, feel free to like the video, comment your thoughts as well, share the video, and then of course you can click on the subscribe button and hit on the notification bell. And we will see you again on the next episode of the Dropping Dimes podcast, Team Preview Edition. Keep safe, everyone. We'll see you again. Keep safe.